Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, family. Welcome, family. I know it's been a while, but we're back with Tuesday Night Activate with your friend and your brother, Prophet Felton. And I got an amazing guest with me today that is going to help us not only activate our faith, but activate our faith in ministry and in business. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a vision, you maybe didn't launch your business, but you want to hear some life experience on just listening to the voice of God, or walking in your purpose, or walking in what God has given you, I need you to definitely tune in. I need you to share this. I need you to tell somebody. I need you to tag somebody because today we're going to be having a great conversation with a man that I believe has some wisdom for this generation, for any generation, because he stepped into something that God has told him to do. And so I'm so grateful, and I'm thankful that God has given me this opportunity to have this conversation with him about activating your faith in ministry and in business. Activating your faith in ministry and in business. So again, let me know where you're tuning in from. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Sunshine. Good evening, Elder Mona. Good evening, everybody. Come on, share it with your friend, your neighbor. Listen, I know we just coming in from work. Listen, we literally both are just coming in from work. So listen, get everybody in the room. So without further ado, the honor redone. The guest don't even say good evening. But listen, without further ado, I want to bring I call him a brother in the gospel, because literally we may not talk often, but when we do connect and we do conversate, it is something positive, uplifting, and you need those people in your life. And so he is from North Carolina. I'll let him give more of the where at in North Carolina. I ain't gonna mess up where. I know he's married to his lovely wife. They have a beautiful child, and we just thank God for what God is doing in his life. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the guest tonight, and that is Elder-elect Marquez Mills, amen, of the CEO of Mills Branding Agency. And I know he just have another business that he just launched this year. And so I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to have this conversation. Again, share it, and let's have this conversation. It's time to activate our faith. Great, sir.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm certainly grateful for this opportunity to share with you all. My brother, Prophet Felton here, who is a great man of God. We've known each other for quite some time, and he's actually literally one of my first clients when I launched my business. We had a lot of interaction with one another doing business or whatnot. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, man, to be on and to share with you all.
I totally remember that when I first started our church a couple of years ago. You were actually one of our first graphic designers that I used to reach out to. Wow, this goes back. Yeah. This is actually even more great, because I remember just us going back and forth, and just basically you starting this out, and you really helped us at that point in time of our ministry. So I'm so grateful. So to introduce the people to who you are, who is Marquez Mills, let us know about your ministerial journey, because people don't know, not only are you a businessman, you are in ministry. So let us know about who Marquez Mills is, and then we're going to jump even more into our conversation today.
Yes, sir. So I am. I reside in Greensboro, North Carolina. Me and my beautiful wife, Michaela Mills, we are preparing to celebrate 2 years of marriage, and we just had our first newborn, Milani Grace. And we are excited about our future, man. God is, he's really showing himself in our marriage and in our lives. I started my first business, Mills Branding Agency, in the year of 2015. And from there, it was literally a leap of faith. It was a leap of faith. I had no experience in graphic design. I didn't even know the graphic design was even going to be something that I had my hands into. But God allowed it to I put the time in and the work, and He allowed it to flourish to where it is now. I am a student of Carolina Christian College here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am studying to obtain my bachelor's in biblical studies. I serve under my great leader, Bishop Ron Flack Jr. at Victorious Praise Worship Center, which is located here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to my pastor and my first lady, Lady Erica Street, Flack. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Lady Erica Flack. We certainly thank God again. I'm here
Mhm.
to share from experience with everybody. I recently just launched a cleaning service.
Mhm.
So Mills Essential Cleaning, I recently just launched that, and I'm excited. I already have some bookings for the year of 2022.
Mhm.
I do also work at First National Bank. I serve there as a teller supervisor. So we have a lot. We have a lot going on.
I mean, you're the jack of all trades, and it
We have a
kind of
lot going on.
it segues me into this conversation. Is this is like, can you explain to us like how did you understand the call of God in your life as a minister and entrepreneur? Because I know that before you started your business, you was a minister. You was you was a
Mhm.
deacon. You went through the ranks and different things. But how was
For
it for
sure.
you knowing, okay, I'm a minister of the gospel, but God
Mhm.
now wants me to launch a business? Was there any difficulty? Like, explain that experience when you heard the voice of God wanted you to do both, be a minister and an entrepreneur.
So honestly, man, I'll be very transparent with you tonight. So as I kind of launched into the entrepreneur, the marketplace while serving in ministry, I think it was more so literally in the beginning, as I stated, it was a leap of faith when I launched out into the marketplace. I had always been the type of individual I never felt satisfied to or content to work under someone else. And now I don't take that away from individuals who work a 9 to 5. I don't take it away, because even then, even myself, I still do it to this day
Mm-hmm.
while
Mm-hmm.
operating a business. So I think it was just more so me taking that leap to experience and to kind of venture out to see what things could be like as a business owner.
Mm.
And so that's kind of how that happened. And even while operating or serving in ministry, ministry has always been a passion of mine. It has always been a serving behind the scenes has always been a passion of mine. And until this day, I still serve behind the scenes as much as possible, as much as I
Mm-hmm.
can. I would prefer to to serve behind the scenes. And so that's kind of how things happen that way, man. I just took that leap, and it was all God, because like I said, I did not know the graphic designing was even that was not an adventure that I was going to partake in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just how that happened.
So this is a B part to that, because I think you said something. Do you think everyone's called to be an entrepreneur? Because some people want to lead a 9 to 5, and they be
Right.
like, no, 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 no. I gotta like. Do you think everyone's called? Because some people get slack, especially in church. We beat
Hmm.
people up that if you work a 9 to 5, you're not stepping into who God wants you to be. You're not
Right.
stepping into your influence or whatever. Is there
Hmm.
anything wrong with not being an entrepreneur or not, working under someone's vision?
I have to agree, man. There's nothing wrong with not being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's dangerous when we can only label ourselves influential only in the church,
Mm-hmm.
right? Only in the church. So what if God wants us to use our influence of leadership or authority in a 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship, and I've actually learned uh, being in both institutions, marketplace and corporate. There
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of self-reflection. There's a different level of accountability that you must walk into when being an entrepreneur. And I think that is one of the main reasons that God has allowed me to continue to walk in certain doors, because in the beginning, I didn't have all the answers. I was not great at communicating. I was not great at, you know, and that's just being transparent. As an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you have to deal with the pressures of deadlines. You have to deal with the pressures of, just being that individual who's going to take that step above and beyond to meet the needs of those who you are serving. And so I think if you can't possess that mentality or grasp the fact that, all right, well, I have to, suck in that pride. I have to, suck in that ego. And then when something doesn't fall through, you have to take that step to say, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And so I think it takes a different level of accountability and maturity to operate as an entrepreneur. And I don't think everybody is called into that field.
So, and the reason why I asked it because it leads to my second question. What do you think, or what have you learned are some misconceptions that church has
Mhm.
taught believers about business and wealth? Because I believe that's one of the biggest misconceptions that when we hear, oh, you got to step into your vision, you got to step into your
Mhm.
purpose. Some people are called to serve another person's vision. So, what do you
Yeah.
think, just being a minister and entrepreneur, are some misconceptions? And I know that's a controversial question. I know some people are like, what do you mean? Because sometimes we're not taught true. We taught that if
Mhm.
you're not, I think a lot of people sit in pews and feel inadequate where they don't feel like they're not number one. So, what are
Right.
some misconceptions you see that the church has taught believers about business and wealth?
So honestly, I would say there's more so to me, there's more so a lack of teaching on business and wealth, more so than it
Mm,
is of a misconception.
okay.
So I think it's important that we don't just teach faith. We don't just teach uh giving, 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 and not actually teaching on the reality. Okay, well, if you feel like God is giving you a gift, if you feel like,
Hmm.
God is giving you a vision, and it not just be utilized in church,
Mm,
what can how
mm,
can you how can God manifest that on the outside of those four walls to
mm,
still magnify and bring glory to his name? So I think it
mm.
is more so just a lack of teaching more so than it is a misconception.
I'm glad you said that because I think one of the biggest things is my gift works outside of church. Like, or my
Yeah.
gift doesn't just have to serve church. I think a lot of times we have tabooed it that if you basically do your gift or your vision outside of church, if it doesn't have church ministry or it
Mhm.
doesn't like you, like even to a person that just use it for just use for a reference, like somebody want to start a bakery. If it's not a
Mhm.
part of the food committee of your church, then you're not doing it for God. But God calls us to prosper. And sometimes even people have felt hostage that if I don't use now you want to serve your church, you want to build your church, but that, oh, I
Mhm.
have to turn my gift over to my church. I have to turn it
Right.
over. So, and no, you're an entity, you're an expression, you're an extension to that. And that is
Mhm.
now your reasonable service, and that's something God gave you. So now with you being a minister, you being an entrepreneur, what are some key principles that you've taken to and you think other believers need in having to balance? Because, like you said, it's a lot. You work, you have your two businesses, you're a husband, you're a father. So it's a lot that with time and different things. What are some key principles
Yeah.
you had to take to make sure that you're balancing both ministry and business?
One of the key principles I would say, man, is staying at the mountain,
Mm.
staying at the top of the mountain.
Oh man,
Uh,
that's good. That's good. That's good.
um, definitely staying in communication with God, man. And it may sound plain, it may sound,
Hmm.
you know, less practical, but the reality is staying in communication with God.
Mm.
Um, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have these detours, you're gonna have these distractions, you're gonna have certain things that life throw at you unexpectedly. And
Hmm.
so I think for me, staying in prayer is has really helped me in regards to
Hmm.
uh sometimes God will show me, hey, this deal may not go as you expected.
Wow.
So when the deal doesn't come through, you can't be walking around with your head down.
Mm-hmm.
So because you know how people do. So
Yeah.
I think that's the key principle, man, is definitely staying in prayer. Secondly, I would say uh keeping a to-do list. Um and that may just sound plain and simple, but it actually, for me, it helps me keep me on my toes. I can go back and
Mm-hmm.
look and say, hey, if I have not gotten this done, I put a certain
Mm-hmm.
deadline on it, even for myself. Um, Staying at the mountain, to do list. And thirdly, I would say making sure that you're still implementing family time. Whether you're a husband, wife, brother, sister,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you implement family time, because honestly, me being a husband and a father has actually taken the stress off of it's actually taking the stress off, because now I have no choice but to tend to those other responsibilities versus
Mm-hmm.
being the yes man 24/7 or
Mm-hmm.
24 hour, throughout the night, because
Mm-hmm.
you have people don't respect that nowadays. So I think it's definitely taking the pressure off of me, um, making me feel like I have to answer right then and there.
Mm.
So I would
So
say
families help you
prayer.
did. So family help
Go
you
ahead.
decompress. So family help you
Yes,
decompress, basically.
yes, yeah,
Wow.
actually, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Family has definitely, because before, before family, I was literally always on the go. I was literally always on the go, and that was just me, and I don't know if God had given me the grace to just go and go and go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's like, again, I have no other choice but to literally tend to those other responsibilities. And I think that is oftentimes that's another lack of teaching that I think, that is there, is taking care of ourselves. you
Mm.
know, uh, Taking care of ourselves is definitely big, and I'm learning that as I go now.
Mm. So one of the things, like you say, you just got married, you know, your newborn baby. What would you say to you about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, to help him balance or not to be so go, 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 go? What would be one thing you would have said to yourself then? Because some people that's not married, how would they, what would be something they should do if they're not married and they don't have that other thing that would make them decompress? Like, what would you say
Mhm.
to the younger you, or say to a person that's not married, to help them make sure they're not always ministry, 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 or business, business, business? Because definitely,
Mhm.
I think you're speaking to me even today, because sometimes we have to allow people and things to bring us out of and make us like, no, you gotta be yourself. But so, what would you say to
Yeah,
someone that's single or, starting in that? What would you say to them?
I would definitely say keep in mind of the long term goal. Um,
Mm,
Keep in mind the long term goal. So we can, in reality, if we're always on the go, but we have a certain goal in mind, what good is it for us to always be on the go? In the long term, we never see,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I would definitely say that, because I mean, the truth is, man, people are becoming ill because they're always on the go.
yeah.
There's never any time to say, hey, let me, put this to the side just for a second. The vision ain't going nowhere. If God gave it to us, it ain't going nowhere.
Right,
Um,
right.
and so I would definitely say, thinking about the long term goal, thinking about how it's not only affecting us, but even if we do have certain other obligations that we are surrounded by, how does it affect them, or those things as well? So I would
Mm.
definitely say, thinking ahead.
And I think you answered, my next question, like, how do you incorporate it? For you said stay at the mountain of God, because you even said it. I think a lot of people don't understand it. Yes, God will speak to you concerning your secular, however, we churchify it. The vision He gave you, He will give you insight. Like, hey,
Mhm.
this business deal is not going to go right. Hey, you shouldn't do this, because it's a vision God gave you. God gave us
Right.
creative ability. And so a lot of times, I think that's the one thing is that people do not know. Incorporate your faith in
Right.
your business, because it doesn't. You don't become unsaved because you have a secular business. Now, I need to be
Right.
morally, but you're not going to because you want to have a clothing line or you want to start a media, whatever, like you did a cleaning service. You are not. We need a world that's going to be clean.
Right.
Cleanliness is next to godliness, as the grandmothers would say. So, those things. So, what are three things you think every entrepreneur needs to understand before launching a business? Because everybody got a vision. They go get their EIN number. They go to LegalZoom and they start paying all this money. But what are three things before they do all of that? Before they start paying all this money, what are three things you think every entrepreneur needs to understand and launch in their business? Because they can use it for ministry too, even for
Yeah.
pastors and visionaries. So, what are three things you think they
Yeah.
should know?
One, I would definitely say, know that it's God. Um, know that it's God, and knowing that if God calls you to it, he's gonna sustain you even through those difficult times. Because again, entrepreneurship is not is it's not an easy journey.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely being assured that God has called you to it. Secondly, I would say learning or being able to have tough skin,
Mm.
being able to have tough skin. There have been moments where I have wronged and I did whatever I could to try to say, hey, how can we fix it? You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They
Yeah,
don't want to hear
yeah,
it. Even after
yeah,
you admit it, hey, I know I
yeah,
could have communicated better.
yeah.
They don't want to hear it. And I think that that term, as God gives us grace, I think
Mm.
we don't operate the same.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't give grace to people. No, no. Definitely.
we don't
We
operate.
got a
We
little
don't
edge.
operate
We
the
got a
same.
little edge to it. Yeah, we got a
Yeah,
little edge to it.
yeah, and not realizing that everybody has had to go through that phase of learning through trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everybody has had to learn, you know, what can they do to make things better? How can I operate the process of a transaction more smoother? How can I, you know, do this and that so that this does not end up the way that I did not intend it for it to end up. Things
Mm-hmm.
happen, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
secondly. So thirdly, I would say, and I'm working on this too, man, is not trying to do it on your own. it's it's
If
it's
you don't understand more than you know, I wish my church. I think some of them are watching. A lot of what you're saying. I hear one person in particular. Oh, you need to listen because I
yeah,
am literally can be the same way. I've been there. I've experienced it.
mhm,
Being business. So sometimes the emotions and sometimes being too busy and definitely
yeah,
doing it by yourself. Yeah, yeah, been
hmm
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a part in how getting some of those kinks out. Sometimes you don't have to go through certain problems if you have extra hands. But then
Yeah.
the question is, what happens when you don't trust, you know, those who you feel like could be an extra hand? So that's something you run into as
No,
well.
I'm I'm laughing because my assistant, my daughter is on. My sister daughter is on,
Uh,
and she knows. And these are literally some of the conversations that we have. By God, today. So I
wow.
definitely understand. Like, what has been the change? Like you said, it's a challenge, something you learn it, and we be transparent. It happens. How have
Yeah.
you become better? Like, share, how have you become better in that area of letting people help? And because you don't want to burn yourself out, we ain't 50, and I know sometimes it's like gotta get it done now. But
Yeah.
how do you prevent that, or how have you grown in that?
So as I stated, I'm still learning. I think think the thing that I've learned is definitely how to how not to say yes to everything. So that's kind of like the fill in for right now
Mhm,
until that extra hand comes along. Is definitely learning how to say
mhm,
no.
mm,
Say no. And before family, I would say before family, I definitely had the mentality of a hustler. I had the mentality of a go getter. So if the money was right, I was gonna say yeah to every project that came through. I was gonna say yeah to every project that came through.
mhm,
But definitely grabbing a better understanding of, you know,
mhm,
every project is not meant for you to take on. And then
mm,
you also have to be honest with yourself and and reflect on your actual ability to make sure that
mm,
that project gets done.
mm,
So
mm, mm,
yeah, and I think and I think with and this is just from observing. Um, there's a lot of and I'll speak from like a designer's perspective. There's a lot of designers now. The graphic designing world is so saturated, right? And it's only because there is a lack of teaching on the value of marketing and branding. So
mm,
you have individuals who can literally pick up a phone and say, "Hey, I'm gonna charge this person $30 to do a flyer."
mhm.
But what about the quality? You know what I'm saying?
The
It
the
you
whole
know
quality, like the whole quality, is nowhere near,
yeah, no,
or charge them
no,
$1,000 for something that is
yeah,
like,
yeah. There's that's nowhere near worth putting out. And so that's another thing I have learned, man. It's easy to pick up something and
mm,
say that and portray to be that particular thing that you've picked up, but there's been really no investment. There's been no time in actually learning what you're
mm,
trying to, what you're trying to provide. So that's
mm.
definitely another thing, man, is making sure you actually know how to do what you're trying to provide.
Eh, I want to ask it because it's something I didn't send it to you, but I want to ask you: did you ever deal with comparison? Did you ever,
Oh yeah.
like, being in a saturated field in area? How
Oh yeah.
did you make it? Actually goes to the next question. How did you maintain
Mhm.
your integrity to comparison, competition, to your brand and to your standard? How did you maintain your character to what God gave you and
Mhm.
not feel like, you know what, I got to manipulate? Because literally, there are people that will see, oh, if everybody is charging this amount, I'm gonna charge a little higher.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this. Like, everyone's trying to. How do you stay integral to your assignment with your business, and what God gave you? How did you do that?
That's a great question. And my sister Leah is on. She's an entrepreneur as well, and
Mm-hmm.
she's in fashion design. I just read that.
Mm-hmm.
She said that's a good question. I
Yeah.
think when it comes to dealing with comparison and maintaining your integrity, I think it comes with time, right? It comes with time because you have to get to the place where you can say, all right, if God gave me this, I must remain confident in him at the fact that he gave me this gift, he gave me this vision. And while it may look like someone else is providing something better, we all have our different audiences, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
we all have our own audiences. So while such and such may be over here and they're providing this particular service, God gave me the idea, the vision. So therefore, if he
Mm-hmm.
gave me the idea and the vision, he's also going to give me that particular group of people to
Mm.
say, hey, I need what they possess,
Mm.
right? I
Mm.
need what they
Mm.
got. So while uh that's good, goes back to the value. Exactly. Exactly. So I mean, it's like you got Michael. And we were just walking in the store the other day, me and my wife. It's just like you got Michael Kors and Coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two top brands across the
Mm-hmm.
country. But
Mm-hmm.
while walking through the mall, I see that Michael Kors is packed out, Coach is packed out, right?
Wow.
So
Help us. No, this is
so
good. This is good.
either way, either way, either way, and two different designers, but the same
Same
exactly
purpose.
the same purpose. See, you should have brought her on the live, man.
Listen,
um,
now at least I thought this let you know that you may be a guest on the next time. Because you're saying something good because I know, and I want you to continue, but it's hard sometimes when you said being content with my audience.
yeah,
Sometimes you think, and I don't know who says it or where we feel like our business is supposed to service the world. It serves
yeah,
a capacity of the world. And sometimes when
exactly.
we feel like I got to reach everybody and I lose sight of my purpose, I become
Hmm.
frustrated with the aspect of the assignment. And then I feel like I'm
Yeah.
wrong. And then right in front of my eyes, like this, like Coach never builds off of Gucci or build off of
No.
Michael Kors. They build because one, their bags are totally different.
Hmm.
Their understanding, like you're saying something so good with that. Like really, help us really understand even when you might go through them battles. How do you stay away from forfeiting what you need to do for what
Hmm.
you see your neighbor doing?
That's why I'll go back to when you asked me the three things that entrepreneurs must grab hold of when they
Right.
before they start.
Mm-hmm.
This it has to be a God thing because
Mm-hmm.
it's easy just to launch something and then now we've put ourselves in battles that were never intended for us. We've put
Wow.
ourselves in positions where we're battling comparison for no reason. Why? Because that's not something that we were called to do. And so
So you're trying to
now,
base. You just said somebody's battling a comparison because they put
yeah,
themselves in it. That's basically what you just
yeah,
said.
exactly. You're battling comparison because you put yourself in there, and
Mm,
it wasn't God saying, "Hey," because even when God calls us to a thing, there is going to be the vision is going to be so clear to us that
mhm,
it's like when we step out there even though we're still at some point going to deal with that comparison, but even when we step out there, it's always going to come back to us to say, hey, God called me to this. He gave me this vision. So if he gave me this vision, he's going to give me this particular group of people,
mhm,
right? And so
mhm,
that is while it's true that you may still battle with that,
mhm.
it comes with time as you become confident in what you're providing versus always looking at what somebody else is providing.
Well, I'm gonna say another nugget you just said: confidence in time. we
Hmm.
we never realize confidence is built over time, and a lot of times we don't
Yeah.
realize our experiences within business or ministry will build us into the person that we visualize, or we know that we visualize, that we begin to say, oh, I should be here, trust me, I know it.
Hmm.
And so I'm learning that confidence in time is very
Yeah.
essential. Just to say, why do you think a lot of like what is the detriment? And I know we said a comparison, but like for a person that's not confident, before they
Hmm.
start launching, what are the things that you should do before launching and they're not confident?
So one of the things I did, one of my mentors, I don't know, he's probably not on tonight. He's out of Raleigh, North Carolina, Elton Benjamin, and I'll always include him in my story because he definitely helped me get to the place where I am now.
Mm,
Confidence in time comes with what, like what your question is, what are you doing behind the scenes? So
mm,
if you're not taking the time to study, if you're not taking the time to do your research, if you're not taking the time
mm,
to practice, um, you're going to launch out on broken pieces. You're going to launch out
mm,
on broken pieces because you haven't taken the time to initiate the confidence building within yourself. So now, if and I have a shirt that I'm getting ready to launch. I'll go ahead and say it on here. Um, faith and works is simple, but is to me is very profound, because while we can ask God to bring us the clientele or send us the clientele, what have we done to make those clients say, "Hey, I I I can get with that.
Faith
I
is
can get with that."
simple. Listen, you just said faith is simple. You know how complicated that short. Oh, because why do you think we make faith complicated? Why do you think we make it so complicated? Why do you think we make it more than what it is? Like, what do you
So
think?
that's crazy, man. I just said this a few weeks ago, and that's where the idea came up, and is actually faith and works. I think faith is so complicated because we don't give God anything to work with, right? We don't give him anything to work with, and
Time
so
out, time
we're
out, time out, time out. That was good. You gotta slow it down for the people. So faith is complicated because we give not, God nothing to work with.
no,
Sheesh. All right, continue, continue. That was good. No,
we
that was good.
we
We're not going fast past that.
we
We're not gonna move fast past that. That was good. That was really
yeah
good. Okay.
we walk around expecting and desiring, but again, what have we done to what have we given God any have we given God anything to work with? So, is I think that's why it's complicated because we don't do anything on our behalf.
Wow.
Not
Am I
not taking
giving?
away not taking away the true essence of what God the power that God has. But
Right.
I think if God if it's a dual role, it's a dual responsibility. So if God gives us something, what are we doing to activate or to maximize what He's given us?
You just said the word activate. If I don't give God nothing, then what is He really instilling? I can have the vision, but if I'm not giving Him that dominion, if I'm not giving Him that if I'm not giving Him the access, you
Yeah,
can only be activated by what you give access to. And
exactly.
so if I'm not giving him the faith to activate, then what I think is hard is really easy. But because
Hmm.
I have not turned it over, and
Exactly.
I look at this is how I look at business. I always use when I talk about business, and I don't know if you like have a Bible story that you use, but anytime somebody wants to do business, I always use Hannah. Your business is like
Hmm.
Hannah with Samuel. You turn it, God gave it to you, and you
Yeah.
literally turn it over. Like you
Yeah.
literally turn it over and say, you know what? Guess what? Like, listen, this is yours. Though you gave
Hmm.
it to me, this is your thing. This is the thing you gave to me. So
Yeah.
my next I think so. Now you said faith is simple. This goes now to this because a lot of people don't understand that things of with business, it really is for a next generation. Everything we do, someone else is standing upon. Explain to us the importance of generational wealth, not just for business, but just holistically as a body of Christ.
Mhm.
Generational wealth. Why is this an important thing we understand in this day and time?
In this day and time, I would definitely say looking at looking at how our society works now. Everything is all about making someone else rich, making someone else
Mm-hmm.
wealthy, making someone else the top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then we must sit down and ask ourselves, if God has allowed us to possess certain gifts, then there is no reason for us not to be able to obtain wealth. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is a cycle. Me working at a bank, I literally see money go in, money go out, money go in, money go out. And so my thought process is, well, if this is literally how finances work, it can be
Mm-hmm.
the same way with our families, with our with building a legacy and trying to continue
Mm-hmm.
that generational wealth. So I think it's important, man. You first have to grasp the understanding of how our society works, and knowing that it is literally is it's just an ongoing cycle. And again, I'm not when I started business, I was always the person. I was never content with just making somebody else the top dollar. If I
Mm-hmm.
myself can go out here and you know and build something
Mm-hmm.
of my own, you know what I'm saying? I think
Right.
That's a, and even if a person who is not called to the marketplace, I think it can somewhat be an insult to God to say, even though I don't have a marketplace ministry, there is still something within me that can bring influence into wherever I'm located, wherever I'm working, and to say, hey, uh, you know, Felton, that Felton guy,
Mm-hmm.
you leave the company, they're always going to remember that
Mm-hmm.
name Felton.
Right.
you know,
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
that opens opportunity, or gives opportunity to those who, you are your kids, or whoever that you are connected to. So I think that's important, is just understanding that, we're living in a cycle. So why waste your time making someone else
Mm-hmm.
big? You know,
And
and I hope I answered that. I tried the best
no,
that I
no, no,
could.
you did. You did. I think no, you said it. You said this is the part. And I think when we understand business, I think we understand faith at that faith in ministry and business. One thing, you spoke to both individuals, and what two individuals did you speak to? The leader, like the visionary, but then the
Mhm.
team. And I think sometimes what happens is that we think we got to be the head dog. We got to be
Yeah.
number one. We got to be seen. And sometimes
Hmm.
we lose that sight, like, oh, if I go to work for because again, I don't know where this started from, but it's been a criticism to the one that wakes up every day and go clocks in.
Yeah.
It's been a criticism to where they might be working their best, they may be working their metron, they may be working their influence, but because the person that is the entrepreneur
Hmm.
shames the person that has a 9 to 5. There have been people that have said, you know what, I can go take this and do it on my own, and they've literally
Yeah.
flopped. And
Yeah.
then they're like, well, why did I flop? I got these talents ability because your metron or your grace
Hmm.
is not to lead. Your grace is to make someone
Exactly.
else. And I don't want to say it like this, but look good. It's not
Yeah.
because they're looking good. It's that you're an essential tool to being a builder, to being an activator. And that's where
Exactly.
we're not taught that in church, because again, in church, we got a lot of competition. We got a lot of,
Hmm.
this and that. So it leads me really to this last question for tonight. How do you see God collectively building entrepreneurs in this next season of the church? What do you see happening with entrepreneurs in this next season, whether it be like 2022 or just this decade? How do you see the entrepreneur maximizing and being activated in this next season?
Um, so I would definitely say, just off of observation and prayer, um, COVID, as we know, uh, it did some damage, but then it also birthed a lot of things within a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And just being working on the end of a branding specialist, um, it actually opened a lot of doors for
Mm-hmm.
my business, because there are a lot of people that have started some things within this
Mm-hmm.
pandemic. And so I think, looking at it from that spectrum, God is using this time to literally reveal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, if you look at, as far as the Bible goes,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of individuals in the Bible who, they were business people. They were businessmen, and they had possessed different gifts and abilities. So I think this is just a repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a repeat, and so I definitely think this is a season where everybody really should have taken the time to seek God, and to say, hey, is there anything extra
Wow.
that you have instilled in me? And if it is, I want to pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely think that's so it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's already happening.
Mm. So how does it feel for you being a person with two businesses? This is just a throw
Mhm.
out, how you ever want to, say, how does it feel being a father, husband, two businesses, a church leader? If you had to put it, how would you describe this experience and journey? How would you say it's been? How would you say it's been for you? You had to put it in one word. You had to put it slightly in one word. What would you say? What would be that word and why?
I would say it's revealed a to me it's revealed like the level the extent of my the heart of serving that I have.
Mm,
Is definitely I can definitely say that because in all of those areas, yeah, I'm serving, but I'm also serving in different capacities.
mm,
And so it's definitely revealed to me uh, that there is a different level of maturity that I have reached because I don't think honestly if this was me probably 4 years ago, I probably would have lost my mind. I probably would have lost my mind because there it is a lot. It's a lot, man. But I'm grateful for the strength. I'm grateful for the endurance that God has given me and the ability to serve in all of those different areas. And while
mm,
I'm not perfect in serving, I'll never I'll never get tired of being able to be there for my wife. I'll never get tired of being able to be there for my daughter. I'll never get tired of being able to work the business that he's given me, or you know, uh, working my 9 to 5. And so
mm.
in all those different areas, man, I can definitely say it has shown me the true essence of what serving is.
Yeah, I realize I know you went from entrepreneur and then you went back into corporate America. I know that was like, really? Am I really gonna do this?
Yeah,
Because and the reason why I say that is because we've talked and I know some of your story, dude. It wasn't like you don't have clients. It's not like you didn't have business or certain things. And then when you get back into your 9 to 5, you have another
yeah,
announcement. I'm coming out with my second business. Like it was just like, but
yeah,
this is this these are things because you got two business. You have a business. You was working your 9 to 5. You launch another one. Why didn't you
mhm.
quit your 9 to 5? If God
Why
told you
didn't I quit?
this, you're like some people are like, well, God gave me another business now. I'm gonna go and quit. Why
Yeah,
didn't you quit? But you still do your 9 to 5. You still do your business. Like why didn't you quit?
there is a and this took some maturing for me to
Mm-hmm.
say the business. Yeah, I'm working the business and I have faith in God, but at the same time, I have to be practical and say, well, you're bringing a newborn into this world.
Mm,
Um, so
mm,
while so while so while I have the business, the 9 to 5 is
mm.
going to help me get to where I need to go in more of a timely manner per se.
Okay. Mm.
Um,
So
more of a timely
that was
manner.
good.
Also, because you have those particular clients who they don't understand, and then
Uh
that's
huh.
just being real and transparent. I mean, being a graphic designer, and then also, like I said, graphic design right now is
Dog eat
I
dog
watch it.
world, how I call it.
Yeah, yeah. I watch a lot of the BMF and the Power and the graphic design world is how the Bronx was back in the '90s, in the '80s and '90s. Just put it like that.
Is it? Yeah, you ain't never lied. Like every time you turn
Just put it
around,
like that.
someone else, and then you're trying to, you're trying to. How would I say? You're trying to find your niche, so you're trying to degrade the next one, or
Hmm.
because watch this, you lose your sense of authenticity, you lose your sense of identity, and I think it was even something I saw Michael Todd had wrote. He said, "I'd rather have authenticity over than aesthetics." The authenticity is the very thing that I'd rather keep, and I think a lot of people have lost their authenticity. They've lost their sense of identity. They lost their sense of worth. Um, and I think our creative pastor just said something. You can be a graphic designer, but
Hmm.
have no idea how design
Yeah,
works.
and that's definitely true. So that's why you got people with these pop up flyers, and there's no other trace of identity.
That
There,
and that
there's
and that's
there.
big.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
or you might have a grace in some aspect of graphic design, Like you may not be the one to design it, but you may help somebody with a concept or different things. So
Exactly.
you really helped us understand. And don't be crazy with our faith. Be smart with our faith, because our faith is
Hmm.
simple. Because though you have had a business, you have a business, you went to 9 to 5, and God told you to do another one. You ain't turn around and say, "Nah, let me quit my job," because you took a whole understanding. Not only
Hmm.
am I just Marquez, but I have a
Right.
wife, I have a daughter,
Hmm.
I have things,
Yeah.
and I am no way trying to not be able to afford life, because at the end of
Hmm.
the day, now this is the part. I can have a business, but not all the time do my client want to pay.
Mm.
You have off season, you have off moments. So listen, man, is there anything final before I let you go? Anything final you want to say to the people? Answer, respond. Let's stop quitting our jobs.
So
Be
let's stop
crazy.
quitting.
Let's stop quitting the jobs. What would you say? What would you want to say in closing? You get the final words. What's something you want to share with the people or say to the people tonight?
I would definitely say, yeah, yeah. That's your creative pastor on. That's on.
Yeah. Uh huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He.
entrepreneurship will definitely have you. It's more than a 9 to 5 when you work on entrepreneurship. Before I got married and had a newborn, I was literally up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and close my eyes for maybe 3 hours, and I'm right back up because I'm trying to build my confidence in time. So
You
so
that
so
will.
5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up on YouTube, I'm up on Google, or I'm up on a design course trying to figure it out so that by noon get here, I done got through half
Wow.
of my checklist.
Wow. That was I am building in private. So when the time to show up, I'm ready for
Hmm.
it. You got to build in the dark. Like you're saying, like
Exactly.
you're trying to build your confidence, and a lot of
Exactly.
people, you're waking up when your client is in need of you. So
Hmm.
you don't show up when you like. So if you have you say your start date is at 8 o'clock, you don't show up when your client shows up. You got to show up before. And for you to
Exactly.
say that, I think that's so
Yeah.
like I think
Yeah.
people don't know you got to wake up early. You had them
Mm.
3 a.m., 4 a.m. nights.
Oh yeah, plenty of them, plenty of them, and them three a.m. or 4 a.m. nights was before my marriage, before
Mm,
even taking that extra step with my wife in the dating phase,
mm.
because I knew if I'm gonna pull this woman, I got to be on my A game. So that was another motivator right there. That was definitely another motivator. Um, and so one thing I would definitely say is to close out, is to add on to what you said. Whether you're even in the 9 to 5, like what are you studying the field that you're in to say, hey, if I go in the next day and they offer me a promotion, am I ready for it? If they offer me a promotion, am I ready for it? So I would say to close out, um, the comparison will happen. That's natural. But what are we doing in those dark moments? What are we doing in those dark areas to say, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be confident because I've taken the time. Not only has God given me the vision, but I've taken the time to give them something to work with.
Listen, bro.
You know?
I thank you. That is a definitely a way to close. What are we doing in the
Mhm.
dark? Because we
Yeah.
cannot get mad when we ask for a spotlight, but we're not ready for it.
Hmm.
We're not
Exactly.
ready for it. And then we feel like we have to overcompensate.
Yeah.
And or do what others do. So man, listen, I truly want to thank you for tonight. I really want to thank you for taking the time.
Yes, sir.
Marquez is definitely a great man of God. Listen, he got Mills branding agency, and then what's the name of the cleaning company?
Mills Essential Cleaning.
Mills Essential Clean. I'm telling you, y'all about to hear Mills, and y'all gonna hear it all over. North Carolina about to hear it all over. But and like I said, but I really appreciate if you don't follow him. If you're following, go follow him on Facebook. Follow him on Instagram. Follow his business. His information is on his pages. Because I definitely believe that God has called him for this time for entrepreneurs and really helping people activate their faith in ministry. So, bro, I'm gonna let you go, and I just thank you again for taking the time tonight to join me for this segment, and we'll be talking more. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Listen, there you go. Right on all social media algorithms. Look, that's how you get him right there. So follow him tonight, and he may help you, or listen, you may have to hire him. Now listen, he ain't gonna give you no deals, no side deals. Don't try, because I watch the broadcast, so give me a debt. You know how people be. But listen, man, I appreciate you. I'm gonna let you go, and I appreciate you tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man.
All right, no problem. Listen. It was great tonight. Listen, I'm not going to keep you long. We've been off Activate for a couple of weeks now, but we will definitely be back on next week, December 21st. It will be our last Activate. Amen. The last Activate of the year. And we're going to be back full swing next year. Going to be with some special guests and some great things. You'll hear more about that next week. So definitely be on, hear what God is going to say to us next week. And definitely hope you got something out of tonight. Also meet me next week at 8:30. I'm going to be with my friend and brother for millennials when they pray, and this is simply a Tuesday night Activate night of intercession. My friend and my brother Prophet Trey Cousins has me coming on to be with him for the night of intercession. So listen, I hope to see you at 7 and then at 8:30. It's gonna be a long night, but all right, may the Lord bless you, may he keep you, may heaven smile upon you, and thank you for joining me for tonight for Activate. I hope to see you next week. See you later.